Welcome to this explainer built specifically for you, the product builders, startup founders, and PMs out there. Today, we're tearing down an absolute masterclass in behavioral design. We're going to look at how to balance user engagement with long-term product value by diving into the architecture of addiction, specifically Duolingo's gamified retention engine. So if you're building a product right now and wondering how to actually keep users coming back without just tricking them, this teardown is exactly what you need. Let's kick things off with a bit of a paradox, one that kind of shatters what we generally assume about educational apps. Think about it. Learning a new language takes immense cognitive effort, tons of discipline, and yeah, a whole lot of frustration. By all traditional logic, user churn should be absolutely astronomical, right? Yet millions of people open this app every single day. They do it right when they wake up, or maybe just before bed, even on days when they literally have zero desire to learn. So what's going on? What is the gravitational pull of that little green owl? Well, that gravitational pull results in a day 30 retention metric that is, frankly, insane for EdTech, or really any tech sector for that matter. We're talking over 70% of users still active a full 30 days after downloading the app. Look, as anyone who's ever managed a product knows, holding on to even 20% of your users by day 30, that's a massive win. Hitting 70% proves we aren't just looking at a standard educational tool here. No, we are looking at a highly tuned behavior design machine. So here's our roadmap for the breakdown today. First, we'll look at the behavior design machine itself. Then, we'll dissect the anatomy of their core loop, look at their gamification stack, explore the dark side of all this engagement, and wrap up with some actionable lessons for product builders. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, the behavior design machine, and how they're actually selling a habit, not learning. Here's the thing. If you think Duolingo's core product offering is language fluency, you're missing the true genius of their model. Those quick 5-minute lessons and instant rewards, they're not actually optimizing for deep, comprehensive educational outcomes. They are deliberately optimizing for daily engagement. You see, they know that if they try to sell fluency, the cognitive barrier for the user is just way too high. It's overwhelming. But if they sell a quick, easy 5-minute daily habit, boom, the friction practically drops to zero. And when you prioritize that daily micro habit over a massive end goal, the results are just staggering. Just look at this, a 33% daily return rate, over 100 million monthly active users, and more than 34 million daily active users. I mean, to put that into perspective, that's like the entire population of a medium-sized country logging in every single day. That is the sheer power of reframing your core value prop from a daunting, heavy task into a totally effortless routine. Which brings us to Section 2. Let's look under the hood at the anatomy of the loop, their core product engine. What we have here is a flawless execution of the 4-step hook model. Let's walk through it together. Step 1, the trigger. It usually hits you as a push notification, right? Something emotional, warning you that your streak is at risk. It heavily leverages that fear of losing progress. Then step 2 is the action, and they make the friction incredibly low here. You just open the app, tap a button, and do one ultra-fast lesson. Step 3 brings the reward, an immediate shower of XP points, satisfying little sound effects, and visual level ups. And finally, step 4, this is the absolutely crucial phase, the investment. Your streak increases, your profile builds. You've now invested sweat equity into the platform, which means, well, you've got something to lose tomorrow. Yeah, the psychological engine powering this whole loop, that's loss aversion. Honestly, this is Duolingo's ultimate weapon. As humans, we are literally wired to feel the pain of losing something way more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Let me tell you, losing a 50-day streak physically hurts. So users don't log in because they're just dying to study verb conjugations on a Tuesday night at 11:45 p.m. No way. They log in because they desperately do not want to lose their hard-earned progress. Moving right along to Section 3, let's unpack the gamification stack and see exactly what makes it so addictive. You see, Duolingo doesn't just rely on a single trick. They deploy a deeply layered gamification stack. First up, XP points. These give you instant gratification, making you feel successful the second you do something right. Second, the leaderboards. This introduces weekly social pressure by pitting you against real people. Third, you've got clear progress bars and levels to keep up your momentum. Fourth, and this is sneaky, the heart system. It limits your allowed mistakes, which creates genuine tension. And finally, constant, bouncy animations that deliver little dopamine hits after every single action. When you stack all of this together, you engineer an incredibly powerful just one more lesson effect. And the business outcome of this gamified stack? It's incredible. 92% of their user base is entirely free. Just 8% are actually paying. But here's the kicker. Prioritizing engagement over immediate monetization absolutely works. That tiny 8% segment still drove a whopping $748 million in revenue in 2024. How? Through a brilliant freemium model that essentially monetizes frustration. They offer paid users unlimited hearts and streak protection, while the free users have to deal with energy limits and ads. It's brilliant. But, and there is a but, let's shift to section 4, the dark side of engagement, and what happens when you start cannibalizing your own product's value. Because when we actually listen to user discussions online, we spot the fatal flaw of over-gamification. Users openly admit that their goal completely shifts away from actually learning a language to, well, just keeping their streak alive. The gamified mechanics literally eclipse the actual utility of the product. The user is no longer using the tool to improve themselves. Instead, they're basically serving the tool just to maintain a digital number. So, for all you builders out there, the warning here is stark. Addiction does not equal effectiveness. Sure, designing for super short daily usage and adding frustrating energy systems like that hearts mechanic might make your engagement and retention metrics spike in the short term, but they actively compromise the real long-term educational outcomes. You really have to step back and ask yourself, are your product features genuinely serving the user's ultimate goal, or are they just juicing your dashboard metrics? All right, let's bring it all together in our final section, lessons for product builders. Here is your playbook. As a product leader, you absolutely want to selectively steal their brilliant psychological triggers. For sure, build daily habit loops. Definitely leverage loss aversion to keep users invested. Keep the required user actions incredibly small to wipe out friction, and reward them instantly. But you have to carefully avoid the trap of over-gamification, where those streaks just become meaningless. Do not actively punish your users with energy limits just to force an upgrade. And please, never optimize pure engagement over delivering actual, tangible value. Because when you get this balance right, it ties directly into your growth strategy. Think about it. Duolingo spends practically zero on traditional marketing. Because they built such a tight habit loop, the retention literally fuels their growth. They pair that with some brilliantly unhinged meme marketing on social media for virality, and they make sure the product is globally accessible for free. If you balance your core loop correctly, the product itself becomes your growth engine. You basically eliminate the need for massive ad spend. At the end of the day, Duolingo didn't win by being the best teachers in the world. They won because they successfully disguised a highly tuned habit-forming machine as an educational app. They took a process that normally requires intense, painful discipline, and they somehow turned it into a daily addiction. So I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought today. As you look at your own product roadmap, maybe right after this explainer, ask yourself, where exactly do you draw the line between engaging your users and actually serving them? Are you building a healthy habit that delivers real value, or are you just optimizing an addiction to make your own metrics look good? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.